people work or act under the umbrella of certain organization or certain power of a kind?
Ultimately, yeah. I couldn't, not conventional, right, to my knowledge, but they couldn't have just decided to be in a certain place, be a certain person with certain features. It was all like messaging,
So they actually didn't say anything to you, but you get a feeling or you get certain messages.
No, they would say it was all about their action. That is the difference.
Okay. Was it action or words?
Both.
So they say words which mean something to you.
Well, which imply the thing, they'd use innuendo specifically, which is suggestive, and it's just questioning.
So can you give me an example? Something they say and you understand it?
Well, it's a very long time ago, and I remember their faces. I'm just trying to think of something they said. There was one guy who was walking in the street, and he looked at me, and he was whistling the song "Whistle While You Work." And I think that was at the time just after I'd raised this issue with my flatmate, and he couldn't help me, and so
let's stop here for a second, okay? So what does the whistle mean?
Well, the tune, I think it was implying that, in fact, I think it was after I moved back here and visited London again, because I had been living with friends I'd known since school, so I did actually stay in contact with them, and in a way they could have helped me. So I ultimately thought it would be good to keep contact, because I had just ran from the flat, basically. I drove and just disappeared as far as I was concerned. One day I was there, the next minute I'd moved out without telling them.
What was wrong with the flat? Why did you fly away?
It was the area, the people knew where I lived, strangers would be mocking or
If
threatening.
somebody hit me, if I'm walking in the street and somebody walking across, whistling, I wouldn't take any notice at all.
No, I wouldn't either.
So
but
why did
there's quite a bad example. I mean, he did specifically and quite fairly ask me what they said, and I can't remember. But I think the most vivid memory I have was I actually, without telling anyone, I filled up the car with my belongings to move back to Mum's. And as my car was parked out in the street outside, and as I started up the engine and pulled away, a neighbour ran out the door and said something as if to chase me off. Like, people had been mocking and threatening at that point. That was the ultimate last word. Someone actually ran out their house, and she did actually say something, but the windows were up. I couldn't actually hear what she was saying. But she was sort of, like, I don't know, sort of half smiling, but sort of almost sneering, like glad that I was moving away, and I hadn't done anything to her. Do you know what I mean? But that is the most vivid.
But she didn't say any words with that meaning.
I don't know what she said because the windows were up.
That's right.
She did say, well, she looked like she was saying something. I don't know if she made the words. But
you don't know what she said.
No.
And you don't know what she meant by rushing out. Probably she was rushing for something completely different.
Well, I don't know what she meant, but the message was, go. We want you to leave.
So how did you get this message?
That was the ongoing message of, like, defame, derogatory.
Okay. Well, let's stop here for a second. So, you are driving out, you were parking, and then you drove away. And the woman was just rushing back to her flat or out of her flat.
No, it was a neighbour, and she came out the front door.
And rushing.
She ran towards the car.
Probably it's not your car, probably she was rushing towards the side of the car. Or where the car was.
Well, she ran out of her front door to the end of her path, to be honest. But the car was immediately outside both arms.
How did you get this message? You said, go.
Because of the eye contact. She was looking at me and had waited for me to pull away. I would have thought that any other idea of that being a coincidence is strange behaviour. I mean, what other meaning would you put to it without it being doing something else slightly different?
Somebody taking the case with me driving away and the neighbors are coming or saying something or going across. Probably I wouldn't take much notice. So why did you take special notice of that, and the special notice for you meant that go?
Because she looked like it. The imagery, the facial expression and the eye contact, and it wasn't the first time. I mean, basically, what you're saying is, it wouldn't be ultimately the first time, but you said if you were walking across the street and a man was whistling or something, or if a woman was running towards a car, you wouldn't take notice of it, because it would be one isolated act. This was a series of events that had actually got worse. For someone to run out their door and imply that I should leave the area, someone to make that effort, it looks like they're meaning something, whether they do or not.
So at the end of the day, how this event affected you and affected your life?
At that point, I was in a panic, not particularly. I mean, I wasn't violent or anything, but I thought it was a horrible thing to do, and I was critical of it. And
did you get back to her?
No. I just, you know what moving house is like. I just loaded up my car with all my belongings for a 150-mile drive. I didn't have time to take it up with her.
But you didn't entertain the idea of going back to sort her out?
I did make a note of it, and I did expect people to cooperate to the point where that sort of thing would be explained or resolved. Anyway, my family anyway.
Okay, so you went to the family and you told them about this incident, and what did you expect them to do? To go back to sort out the baby?
Well, I thought it was strange for strangers to know who I was, and the immediate effect is that everybody knows. Now, at the same time, you could have told me and I could have agreed that it was impossible to assume that everybody knows. But you still expect, whether it's right or wrong, you still expect people to be able to disclose useful information.
How do you know that they know about you?
Because of the eye contact. People acted like that. They wanted me to know that they knew who I was.
By doing what? What did they do actually to get you?
Well, that's quite an eccentric move, isn't it? For someone, a young woman, not an old elderly person, but for a young woman to wait at the door until I pull away and then run out and sort of dismissing gestures, facial expressions, whatever. That's eccentric behaviour as far as I'm concerned.
Did you see the other way through if you wanted to say goodbye to people?
Well, that would be equally strange for someone I'd never seen before.
Sometimes people try to be friendly.
Well, that was specific behaviour. She didn't help me load my car up, for instance.
Right, okay. So, how did that affect you? Did that deprive you from sleep?
Partially, although moving back to the village is a quieter place. But having said that, I never like to make a big distinction between living and city. But basically, I was kind of panicked. But I was depressed more than anything because it says the overall message, and when I look back now, I'll never fall for that again. I don't think that now, and I haven't thought that for years. But it says we have a right to do this. We will upset you, and we will forbid anything you want. Specifically, I had plans, ambitions, or whatever, to sort of try and make it music and stuff. And you think about being a celebrity and fame and everything, and being well known. That specific, even if you don't like it and it's an occupational hazard, that had just happened. That had already happened, and people were nasty. That removes the ambition.
What are these messages? Are they specific messages from people, or that's gone now?
How do you mean?
Well, people in the village, or people you come across, do they know you? Do they make some facial expression?
Well, when I moved back, I thought that it was just the extent of other people's behaviour had been, how can I say, it looked like people that I'd confided in had supplied private information to people I didn't know. That specifically. because I was working out how, well, not only how, but why they were doing it. Like I said, if you've got ambition to make it in music business, which I did, and I was working on it, when you think of getting well known and more strangers knowing who you are because of your behaviour, that had already happened, but it was nasty. You see what I mean? So even if I contributed to that through my own ambition, it had already established itself as being antisocial and aggressive. So it discouraged me from contributing to that, and it took away that ambition.
So that is the reason you stopped doing the music and stopped...
I did for a while, yeah.
Okay.
Because I fell for it. That's what they said, and they looked like they meant it. I couldn't, on one hand I could say I was opposing it, so I knew it was wrong, but they weren't doing anything about it.
I'm just concerned about the time. So, this behavior from people who you believe that they know about you and the way they knew about you is a hideous way, or there is some power by which the people you confine to them and told them things, release this information to this group of people through certain means. Yes?
I think they were...
Did I get that right?
Well, the thing is, my initial thoughts were, they just know. I couldn't work it out because it was so strange. Yeah, but it was about their behaviour, and they would establish eye contact. They would want me to know that they knew who I was, irrationally. But in later life, I've discovered that people have been encouraged to act like that, but they've obviously been misled by whoever's convinced them to do it. Because there are certain things they've not taken into account. And you can even tell that if they knew exactly what their actions, or what the whole time had consisted of, they wouldn't have been persuaded to act like that.
You haven't got a clue who taught them to do that?
Well, I haven't had it confirmed. I don't guess anything.
Okay.
It's too dangerous.
You
I don't...
you haven't got a clue why they did that?
No, but when you think about it, it's not a source of anxiety anymore, because they obviously do know. Yeah?
Okay. How is this an anxiety manifest? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Well, in the beginning, it was like, do you know the TV programme Jeremy Beadle's Bank?
Yes.
And they play practical jokes on people. And in the end, Jeremy Beadle comes out and pulls off his disguise, and it's funny.
Yes.
And everything's closure, and that end section never happened, even though the original behaviour did.
So we are waiting for the end section to happen.
Well, you can even, these days, I've got evidence of it, and you can show people and say, look, you can't deny this is what you've done here. Are you going to explain yourself? And they either come up with a schizophrenic answer that doesn't relate to the evidence, or they say nothing, or they just don't cooperate. If it was an exam question, they'd fail it because they wouldn't be able to show their work in. They wouldn't be able to substantiate.
Are you at the moment waiting for Jeremy Beadle looks alike to come to tell you that's what I did?
Well, they could. It's possible, but I
But so far we are going around the circle, but we don't actually have the How has that affected you? Did that deprive you from your sleep? Or you sleep sound?
In the early days, it wasn't an issue. It didn't.
Okay, is it an issue now?
It can be, yeah, but that's more to the fact. When in 1994, a year after this, people started behaving aggressively. I worked out that. Are you familiar with cybernetics?
Well, vaguely,
Yeah. You know, the deliberation of the human body by mechanism, by computer machinery. I was exposed to characteristics of that process in 1994.
Why you?
Pardon?
Why you?
Why me? I don't know.
So what's special about you for this power or this people or this organization put you through all of that?
I don't know.
Did they try to direct some information from you? Are you special?
I don't think so, no. Lucky.
Do you have a secret of the kind you want to extract from you?
No. what happened was, and I've seen this with a victim, or a family member of a victim of 9/11, she said, whatever it is we've done, we're very sorry. And that's exactly what happened, because you're desperate for an explanation. You go through things that it could be. And when I put it to them, they said, no, it's not that. And you go through everything that could be conceived as bad by now.
So what from your family?
Sorry, I'm just saying that it's something you go through, and when you realise that they're just being that unreasonable, their actions aren't reasonable, you don't bother trying to find out why they did.
Have you ever confronted anyone who does that?
Yeah.
So in the street?
Not strangers. My friends started doing it, and my family, and they're people who I know I can work with.
They know you.
I confronted people who I saw more regularly.
And what did they say?
They were very... They pretended that it was outrageous, that's their behaviour.
So whatever you asked them, they dismissed that?
Sometimes aggressively, sometimes threatening violence. They would protect their behaviour.
Okay.
They would defend their behaviour.
Okay.
But not with reason.
Okay. So let's move on. Think about your love life. Have you ever had any relationship?
Yeah, I had a long-term relationship when I was at college till about 1991.
So how long was that before?
Best part of 2 years, maybe a year.
Did you actually live together?
Not quite, but we were close. There was one time when we thought she might be pregnant, and I was prepared to bring up a child.
Okay.
So it was like that, really.
So who terminated this relationship?
She did.
Because?
We just grew apart. We were different.
Did you both only worried about to have?
I had a bit of a row, and it was unusual for us because we never rowed or anything. We were quite close, quite...
Was you aware about what's going through your mind?
It wasn't... I didn't have a serious problem with that, really.
Okay.
Not really.
So how long has this problem been going on?
Sorry?
How long has this problem been going on?
Which?
The problem about people and making a remark about you and...
Oh, yeah, and since 1993.
So that's the time when you were with the lady or after?
No, sometime after.
So after separation?
Yeah. I'd gone out with a couple... I had much smaller relationships with other people since then, and we've gone on...
Did it work out, any of them?
Sorry?
Did it work out, any one of them?
I wasn't really... It was more like you'd have a fling with someone, but there'd be someone else you preferred to have a long-term relationship with, and they were unattainable, so you kind of... It was
so
more...
you were free agency for the dating?
Yeah.
Okay. And this relationship, why it was short-lasting? Why it was very short-lasting?
Just because I moved away. That was... I had the long-term relationship,
okay.
and then I had a couple of short-term relationships after that. I closed the end of the long-term relationship.
What I'm saying is that the short relationship, was it terminated because of your concern about the people's behavior?
No, it was before then.
Okay, we'll just concentrate on the impact of these people's behavior on you and your love life, your social life. What about your social life? Do you have any?
Yeah.
Are you a pub goer?
Well, I haven't been out regularly for a long time because it's expensive. Like I say, in Stoke, Hampton, when I moved there 5 years ago, that was a double flat. That was a 2-bedroom flat, and I lived there alone. So I like a spacious accommodation, and I pay most of my wages towards that. And the best thing about moving there and moving to Yeovil was that it was easier to go to the pub and the social groups that was there that I knew from even some from college years and years ago. It was easy enough to participate in that social circle. I don't really. I not as often as I do.
But when you do you feel up this thoughts about the people?
Well, yeah, I'm on top of it these days, and that's why I got in contact with the police. You might be aware that the police contacted Dr. Motrin.
Meaning what? You're unlawful.
Well, whenever their behaviour is unlawful, then that's the thing to do, really. I'm bound by law to comply with that.
So what do you do?
Well, I keep a diary, for one thing. That's
And
one
then
thing I do every day.
What do you do with this diary?
Well, I keep it for hearings, court hearings or court actions.
So you are expecting court case?
Well, I keep having them refused or dismissed unreasonably.
So we actually went to the court?
I haven't made a direct prosecution against an offender, but I intend to.
Okay. Do you have a specific person? Because you can't charge the whole community.
No, the worst, basically, or the most
Yeah,
evident, or the most, what's the word, preventing.
So do you have a designated person in mind you want to prosecute him?
I can't disclose names
No,
today,
don't.
but whoever's been that unlawful, which is a lot, really. I receive a lot.
Yes, probably say that appropriate, and the court will decide that. But what I'm saying is that do you have a person in mind?
I could name, I've got a list of names, yeah.
And that is the people you intended to prosecute at some stage.
Yeah. I can...
So why do you think that the court turned down
well, I've been to it because I've been to the police more often because of the seriousness of some people. And they oversee that behaviour and refuse to protect me.
Okay.
In short, it's a lot of incidents. It's over years of regular incidents, but in general, the police have promised never to protect me. I've got that on recorded.
Never what? Sorry?
The police have promised never to protect me.
To protect you. So if somebody attacks you, they want to protect you.
Well, I'm sure they have bent the rules on other matters. Being attacked, say, for the sake of argument, physically injured, they probably might have to do something.
Okay.
But that's extreme.
But so far you've never been physically injured.
Not by anyone I know.
Okay, so the act so far has caused some mental suffering rather than physical suffering.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you think is the way forward?
I think...
because your life now at a standstill. It is work, home, and that's it. There is nothing else.
Yeah, I know. But,
are you comfortable the way you think?
Sorry?
Are you comfortable the way you are?
No.
Are you comfortable with not having social life or relationship or family? You are 41 now and there is no children, no partner, no...
Well, how would you say that happens? I mean, is that just out of personal choice or because of other people?
I'm not saying anything, I just want to get your views, my friend.
Well, yeah, people have mistreated me, it's almost...
But why?
I don't know, and they won't say.
What's special about you?
Nothing.
You look very decent.
It's special about them because their behaviour is eccentric and extreme.
You look very decent guy.
I know.
Different from anyone in the street.
Yeah.
And if you're walking in the street, probably no one will take notice of you because you're just like any other one.
I don't mind that, but it doesn't always happen.
Why do you think that they're targeting you?
I don't know.
Well, they target the scientists because they got something and they want to get out of it. They target the wealthy people to get their wealth out of them. But you are neither scientist nor wealthy.
No, but I do undergo the cybernetic process every day.
How do you go?
I receive that treatment, that lifestyle, that is having to hear someone else, having to see someone else.
So do you see things?
Yeah.
Well,
in my mind, but they're communicated as being deliberate of other things.
So what do you see? Do you see people?
People.
People with faces?
Yeah, exactly how you see them in real life.
Okay. certain people come every day, or people change every day?
It's usually more like the equivalent of doing a course of over, say, a couple of months. Mostly staying topical, but having to be repetitive. You see what I mean?
No, hang on. And do they talk? You speak?
Well, yeah, but not like in real life. You have sound and you have vision, and they're not always corresponding with each other.
So, do they give you message every day?
They talk and talk and talk every day. It's a point of distraction, which is why I oppose it. It's not helpful.
But you said that they are not talking.
Yeah, they do. They talk.
Talk English?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So they are not talking gibberish
No.
or some idiot language?
It's usually, sometimes it's reasonable and like a constructive discussion, and that's
Do they
really...
expect answer from you?
In the early days, you'd expect it, but it's more mechanical, like listening, rather than conversing.
But do you talk to them?
No.
Do you share
Well, there are certain things it's a bit complicated because some things take the form of my response. And if I heard someone illustrating myself as cautioning someone, for instance, then I would find that agreeable. And for the sake of argument, I say, well, I agree with that, whether it was me who said it or not. But the point is, these ultimate concepts, so of like attacking someone and someone defending themselves, or cautioning the consequences of that attack, that exists.
Do they touch you?
Yeah, well,
Do you feel them?
the cybernetic process synthesizes deliberates the nerve endings to synthesize touch.
So you feel as if you've been touched?
Specifically, the nerve endings are deliberated as though someone had touched me. It is being touched.
What does that mean to you?
It means being touched, and it means being in the company. It means being in the company.
But you don't feel it?
Yes, I do, and it means being in the company of an abuser.
Okay. So you feel the touch, you see them in vision, and you hear their voice.
Yeah.
And in the early days, you were shouting at them to go away.
Well, no. It was more like how you'd say something in your own mind.
Okay.
But as that was the vicinity of deliberations, then...
I think we'll get a finish now, because somebody else I ought to see at 3 o'clock. But just one thing, I think. The police contacted Dr. Morton, and they think that you are unwell. Do you agree with them that it is probably because you are unwell, you have this experience, or you don't share this view with them?
The police are unwell.
The police is unwell.
The police are in trouble.
Not you.
The police could face legal action from me for contacting Metropolitan Police, who contacted Dr. Moxon.
Okay.
I've got the messages that I sent Avon and Somerset Police, and they do not merit their action.
Okay.
And that is double-checked with statute, the requirements of the fixated yeah, their criteria. I do not meet their criteria for their action, or for the whole action initiated by them.
Did you discuss that with Dr. Morton?
Yes, I did. And I showed him, he showed me what they'd sent him, and I showed him what I'd sent them.
Okay. What does he think? Did he say anything? Did he come up with any thoughts?
I said, they sent Dr. Moxon a copy of a letter that I sent Avon and Somerset Police, and it consisted, it was part of the legal process.
Yeah. That's exactly the correspondence which is being you and Dr. Morton and vice versa, and the various contacts you have had in the past.
Well, I'm pretty sure most of that consists of the practice directives regarding civil action, which is a legal requirement. How exactly would a whole constabulary find that fixated, threatening, bizarre, when it is a requirement by law?
Okay.
Now that's something that just isn't answered yet, for whatever reason.
Okay. I'll leave that to the police to answer.